So first of all, I just want to say a massive welcome to Ozier from Real World Asset Exchange. Great to have you on board this epic podcast number two. I've been speaking to you for a good number of months now, and I would say that you're a e-friend as much as a partner project with Real World Asset Exchange and EPICBOTS. We have some great conversations about all sorts of things in crypto, so it's finally great to get you on a call from the EPICBOT side. It really is cool, and I know a lot of people here in the audience will have a lot of value from what you've got to say. What I will say, guys, is please be aware there are four prizes of $25 a pop for those people that are listening live into the AMA. So I'm going to give you an opportunity now to share this with your friends, share this in your communities, so that those people can potentially win prizes. And Ozier will pick two people that are listening live. I will pick two people listening live, and those people will win $25. Okay, so that's how that will work. And what we will do then is we will ensure that those people receive their tokens. I normally say within the next day. I have a very busy evening this evening, but I'll make sure that we get your details and whistle those RAX tokens over to you by sort of tomorrow morning UK time. So if you just send your details across to EPICBOTS, or indeed if you send them to Boring Crypto on Twitter, then I'll sort that out for you. Okay, then. So we've got a few people jumping on. This is actually recorded as well. So those people that miss this, a very warm welcome to you if you're listening on record. It's great to have you on board. I have been really excited about Real World Asset Exchange. Like I say, since I stumbled on it last summer, I mean, it's been nearly 12 months that we've been talking now. So, Inosia, let's kick this off now that I've done a little bit of an introduction. Give us, first of all, a little brief background into your journey into Web3, kind of what inspires you to build in this space. And then what we'll do is we'll kind of move into racks, start talking about some indices, start talking about the direction you're heading in, if that's cool, dude.
Yeah. No, so my just to kind of give everybody a brief introduction on me, my background, I was actually in alternative assets. It's actually the first step in my career straight out of university, doing things. I think we kind of talked about this before, like, we were finding yield in really hard to find, sometimes mostly illiquid assets and things like that, which is basically the traditional finances way of saying, real world assets. So I was kind of doing RWAs before RWAs was a narrative, and kind of got introduced into crypto 2013, like everybody else, and just been in and around it since then. Met my co-founder, one of my co-founders, Colin, and we've been probably building stuff since like 2017. So we've been like building and launching all different sorts of products, from I mean, we did a delta neutral bot on FTX before FTX was had their quant zone and you could do it yourself, and all sorts of other projects and things like that in Web3. So what kind of got us into it was really just the low barrier of entry, right? Like being able to kind of just create something and just kind of release it out there, even if it was just for like a hackathon or something like that, just a really cool project, and just be able to experiment and see people use it and stuff like that. So that's what's really got us into it. And it's kind of come full circle with our previous careers with RWAs kind of coming into the limelight. So it just made sense to kind of like go back to like our roots, something that we both know how to do very, very well.
Awesome. Yeah, I like the way that you said there, about RWAs before they were a narrative. So, you were involved in like sort of finance and that sort of thing before it kind of ported into Web3. And now I think we're looking at real world assets, tokenization of those potentially as, one of the big narratives of this, if we are indeed going to see a bull run like we've seen in the past, after a halving. I think that real world assets up there with AI, et cetera, are going to be taking center stage. The tokenization, a lot of the big financial institutions are talking about that now. And I think that filters across onto Web3. So I think we're exactly in the right place at the right time. And I think your project is exactly what we also need in crypto because, before I actually get into that, talk about, because you've said about different sorts of projects, you've talked about sort of finance, you've talked about kind of your introduction, but what was the thing that made you go, oh shit, okay, now I'm going to stop and I'm going to like pay attention to indices, right? Explain that. Explain it, indexes and indices, and kind of what you initially kind of got drawn to saying, okay, this is where we need to build next.
Yeah. I'd probably say it really hit probably the last bear market, right? Because everyone just took their money and just ran for the door, right? And that was because the crypto and the DeFi ecosystem wasn't robust enough, right? Everything was, shit coins and stuff like that. So it was like everything was down 70, 60, 80, 90%, and there was nowhere for you to go. And so it was like, well, if we had indices of real world assets, real world data tradable on chain, people wouldn't have to leave the ecosystem. They just rotate. And that's kind of what we think is going to happen with RWAs. People, let's be real, right? At the moment, most of RWAs is either real estate or private credit in DeFi at least. And the yields aren't like, the typical yields that you get when you think of a DeFi protocol, let's put it that way. And so that kind of also played into it as well, whereas, hey, if we had a perp, DEX, then you can offer leverage on something that maybe gives you, 10%, 12% a year, 20% a year. And then you could probably, make a lot more money that way. So that was kind of our thinking behind it. But it really started in the last bear market because it was just like everybody left. And again, comparing it to the traditional market in finance where I come from, it's like that wouldn't happen because you have options to go here for, you know, CLOs. You can go over here for all these other types of derivative products and stuff like that. But crypto doesn't have that. And so I said, well, real world assets, indices, putting that on chain, like that's where people will be able to get that. And that way, for the next bear market, whenever that is, you don't have to leave. You just kind of rotate, or even you could be proactive before the bear market. You just start diversifying a little bit and capturing gains of the semiconductor industry or the cannabis industry or something like that.
So give us an example for those people that listen, because it took me a little while, right? I'm not from a financial, background in terms of education, so it took me a little while to kind of try and fathom out, when you're talking about indexes and you're talking about the different sorts of a piece of, well, let's say baskets of data, right? Because you're in the sort of data provision business, we would say, yeah. You are collecting these kind of esoteric or quite weird and wacky markets that we probably wouldn't first of all think of trading in. You're capturing the data of those because those are tradable, right? Because where there's a market, there's the data and then we can trade it. Or where there's value in terms of like a product, right? So you're making a collection of those, and that collection is an index. And then that data is brought on chain for us to be able to trade that at leverage with a contract. Is that essentially right in what I'm saying?
Yeah, basically. So it's just to kind of make it, because it is like because we haven't seen it in crypto, it's kind of hard for people to kind of envision it sometimes. But it's basically, let's say for instance, we have an EV index, right, for electric vehicles, and basically just takes the top 20 electric vehicle making companies by market cap, right, and put them in an index in a basket, equally weighted. So what's that? 20, it's at 5% a piece, right, of the index. And then now you can, there's a price, right, for those collection of assets. And now you can trade the entire, well, not the entire industry, but the top 20 biggest people in that industry. And you have that exposure on chain when before you did not have that. So that is kind of the best way to kind of put it.
Yeah, cool. So we're in crypto, we're in Web3, but what this enables us to do is, you were talking about the bear market before. What this enables us to do is essentially hedge against traditional volatility within the crypto space, right? Because I know that you put a couple of posts out I find quite fascinating. I said to you from the beginning, the Pokemon cards and wine and watches and, weed and all these kind of things. I think that would be so cool to be able to trade, as kind of synthetics, yeah, in
Yep.
as an individual item here in the crypto space. But when you're bringing like kind of a weighted average of the top brands within that specific field, I think that gives us a huge ability to hedge against the crypto volatility. So having exposure to these indices, we can then kind of almost balance our own risk within the crypto space. Yeah, yay or nay?
Yeah, no, yay. 100% yay. Like that's also the advantage of indice trading, investing, whatever you want to do, however you want to look at it. It gives you it's not as volatile, right? Because you just put 25 or 20 assets together, the price isn't going to move that crazy. And then again, these are equities companies. The price doesn't typically move crazy anyway, unless you're Tesla, then that there probably is going to kind of go crazy. But other than that, they're not really going to move that much. So what you're going to get is you're going to get less volatility versus, and you'll still keep your crypto holdings, right? You'll still have, I'm sure most people in DeFi will still have, I mean, their investing portfolios will probably consist of over 50% crypto. And that's okay. But I think, going with assets that are uncorrelated to crypto, right? There's even assets that go up when crypto goes down, like having those assets available to you and having them in your portfolio can probably save you a lot of hurt, a lot of stress, a lot of time staring at, screens and charts and things like that. So that is one of our goals with this project.
Yeah, awesome. And it's one of the reasons why it sort of fascinated me when I was just, having a scoot around in the real world asset world. As you said, I found a lot of property and I found a lot of kind of, the kind of more traditional. But then when I stumbled on you guys and being a first mover, that's the thing as well. I think, there's no one here on this call or anyone that I've met that can say, "Oh yeah, you're doing exactly the same as this project," because I haven't met a project or I've met anyone that's saying, it's a duplication. This is, you are like the icebreaker, you are the front runners in doing this, and I think it's such a massive, massive potential that well, I'm an investor as well, but on a personal level as well as a project level, and I believe in it so much that I think that when the bear market does come in, this is going to be a real game changer for a lot of people in this space, and it's such a hidden gem. So that's kind of my philosophy, and of course everyone, it's not financial advice and do your own research, etc., but I think that from what we've said already, you're able to start doing averages and diversifying risk and all of that sort of thing, off chain, and bringing that on chain, which is absolutely fabulous. Okay, so talk to me about the first three. I kind of have an understanding myself, but give the community who are listening the first three indices that you are going to be looking to bring on chain for us.
Sure, sure, sure. So we're actually working on these three with partners. So the first one is the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, which is a pretty traditional index that people follow, which kind of indicates how well, sometimes some people use it as an indicator for how well the U.S. economy is doing. And we're actually partnering with Trueflation on that. So that'll actually be part of the public test net. The next one is actually going to be a BRICS index. Again, more around the narrative right that's going on right now geopolitically with America, China, and everybody else trying to pick sides and things like that. So having a BRICS index versus the US dollar is a really interesting play on how things are going geopolitically at the moment, and being a hedge for that. And then the last one's actually the total crypto market index, which gives people the exposure to the entire crypto market, as opposed to you trying to pick the the next whatever next 100x in the dpin space. Why not just buy an index that has the entire dpin space, as well as the entire RWA space, as well as the entire Telegram bot space, and so on and so forth? Just have all the narratives in one position versus trying to guess, which one's going to be the lucky protocol. And those are the three that'll be on the public testnet.
So essentially, if we're long on crypto, so if we're thinking we're going to be entering a bull run, we could actually take out a leverage position on the total crypto market cap, because we have confidence, obviously, that the total market cap is going to grow over a period of time. That's very basic layman's, but like that's roughly right, yeah.
Yeah, bingo. That's it. It's for the people who are either long crypto or they're like, no, this thing's going to go down. That's the index that you want to be in.
Perfect. So, yeah, I mean, there's no limitation. I mean, you talk there about sort of geopolitical events, the de-dollarization that I think is happening at the moment, where a lot of countries are turning their back on the dollar as the global reserve currency. We spoke before about empire cycles and how long these kind of global reserve currencies kind of generally hang around, and maybe that US dollar's time has come. I think it's about 80 years now since Bretton Woods and the US dollar being the global reserve currency. So, most of us are aware to the fact that the dollar is probably losing its strength globally. So maybe we could be looking at the BRICS against the dollar and taking the side of China and Brazil and India and all of the rest, and saying, yeah, maybe they're going to be a little stronger. Although, there's also an argument to say that Bitcoin could well be that borderless reserve currency that many of these nations seek. So it's going to be a fascinating next decade as things unfold. So let's move on. And start talking about RACs as a sort of as a protocol. You talked there about the sort of testnet launch. We've just had the RACs token launch on Friday, but the testnet, that's sort of fascinating. Mm-hmm. Who's that open to? How can we get our hands on it? When's it going to be live? Give us all of the details on that, pal.
Right. So right now we're still in private beta. So pretty much like all the market makers and things like that'll be joining us. They're testing it out and, giving us their feedback on what we can do to kind of make it more, just kind of like more solid, really. And so the public testnet will actually be out probably, I think it's like we're going to be doing it with Plume. So they're doing a really big public launch for their chain and all the protocols on there, and they're pushing us and highlighting us as one of their top projects. So they're actually pushing that. I believe the on-chain action starts, I want to say in like 2 weeks, I believe. And then after that, I think another 2 weeks is when they start onboarding and launching. I think they start with infrastructure protocols, which would not be us, and then us, which would be like your dexes and things like that. So I think that's like the end of June.
Awesome. So you're tying in, and I think a lot of people are bullish on Plume as well. That Plume's going to be a big player in the space moving forward. So I think that's fantastic for us to be, partnered with a project such as yourself, and then you linked with those guys. And I know you've got a couple of cool dudes as well in terms of advisory capacity, right? Some ex Coinbase and Binance advisors that you've got helping you along the way. That's right, isn't it?
Yep. So we have, and just to, with Plume and everything, for people that don't know, they're really, really awesome up and coming chain. I think they just closed out their round, like a $10 million round, as the chain for RWAs. They're focusing solely on that. And it's a really, really, really cool project. But what was the other part of your question you were talking about on the back end?
No, I was just mentioning that you've got a couple of really cool advisors also
Oh
helping you.
yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
you've got the market makers that are giving you the advice on the sort of private testnet environment that you're in at the moment, but you've also got some real cool dudes with a lot of experience that are also helping you in kind of facilitating, moving into the space as seamlessly as possible. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. We have one of our advisors from Binance, another advisor from Bitstamp, helping us with treasury setup and all of these things, and making sure um, that we have everything set up properly in the background. There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot to do, but we have like a really great team, really great advisors, really great people supporting us, really great projects. Rocking with us. Partners such as EPICBOTS, such as Trueflation, such as UMA. Like, we're super excited, super proud, and super grateful to kind of have everybody kind of see the same thing that we see, when it comes to like RWAs.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. As I said earlier, I think that it's going to be one of the most powerful sort of narratives. And the fact that, you can bring just the data on, so we don't actually need to own. I know it's another conversation we've had in great depth personally, about the actual ownership of the assets and then tokenizing those or having the data. And I think what you're doing with the data makes it far, far easier and seamless for us as investors to get exposed and to have, that the ability to profiteer. From a new person, I'm learning all of the time about all of the stuff that you're making. It's such a complex in terms of like the technical build side, the things that your goals and your aspirations. It's
Right.
so complex for me. I'm taking a lot of time to learn about each of the individual parts, but it's very, very exciting. I mean, I'm just looking at the chart in front of me here, and I'm seeing, 700k, 797 actually on Dex Screener, market cap for a real world asset perp dex where you can trade leverage at 50x, and bringing all these different esoteric indices to the table. I think there's going to be a tipping point, in my opinion, and I think when people become aware of what they are seeing and what you are doing, I'm anticipating, there's going to be a very, very bright future for you. And I know you guys have put in a lot of time into the research side of this as well. So, it's a really cool time for people to be aware of this, and we're delighted at EPICBOTS to be doing the first AMA since you launched the RAX token. Talk to me about the RAX token. You are launched, it's live on Friday. A lot of people that are probably in the community are going to say, hang on a second, Ben, if you're going to be, keep your integrity intact, you've got to say it probably wasn't the most seamless launch.
Mm.
So just, I know that when we've spoke, your focus has been very much on building a protocol, and it hasn't been on the token side, but you're on Aerodrome. Give us the whole thing, the answers to the questions from your side about the token and I know that it's difficult from a project side to talk about it, but
Mm.
what's its use cases? How can we sort of get involved now with Aerodrome? What are the best things that we're able to do in terms of LP? Give us a high level on that, please, mate.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, it was definitely an interesting launch, but a very successful launch. And again, we're super excited and happy for our supporters, investors, and guys that like again want to see the same thing that we want to see accomplished in terms of our mission when it comes to RWAs and DeFi. So super excited about that. The token itself right now, like you said, we got it on Aerodrome. Aerodrome was a big deal for us because not only does it allow us to kind of really get our name out there and work with like the top of the top, it also allows for our token holders to get rewards. And I think that that's super important, especially as we lead up to the launch, right? So it was a really strategic play for us because we felt like, if we're going to do this, we need to be, even as we build, we need to be offering value to our token holders. And Aerodrome is the best way by far to do that, especially on base, as you can see. And I mean, so many different cases. I can't even remember. I think what base bet did like what did I can't remember the numbers, but it was something astronomical. And it's just again just being able to set up a liquidity pool and direct rewards towards your users. I mean, I think that's what all token holders want, right? They they want I mean, all token holders want this, they want that. So that's something that we really wanted to push for. And like I said, we're super excited about it. In terms of the token itself, again, it's really going to be like a rewards token, as well as it'll allow you to kind of stake for RGO, which is our governance token, and people will be able to kind of change the outlook of the actual platform itself. I know we hadn't talked about it yet, but doing things like being able to, vote on what indices you want to actually trade. It's not really just going to be, us just launching, index after index for no reason. We want to give people that actually use the platform and acquire, racks and points and things like that through trading, and then staking for the governance token to actually be able to, say, hey, look, well, yeah, this is really cool, and I use it all the time. I would really like to see an index for, SaaS companies, right? A SaaS index, or something esoteric like I think some people talked about like a Yu-Gi-Oh card index, things like that. So that kind of gives you kind of like, it's like the key to kind of like really opening up more for RWAX and RWA's on chain.
Yeah, so for me, that's another thing that I was sort of attracted to. I know that, like, with the dual token model, having that governance token, that I can essentially stake my racks, and then get that, and then being able to have a say. Because I think with someone like myself, where I've got quite a big community, in different projects, and then getting together with those people and saying, what do we want to see? What do we want to trade? And I know that you've got you're palpating projects as well, and partners, who are coming in, who are really interested in seeing certain things. And you've said, you will help facilitate the trade in certain indexes that would be beneficial to crypto projects as well. So you're very, very open to helping us with getting exposure to areas that we want to get exposure to in the real world as well, which is fantastic. But getting that governance token back, and then using that governance token to have a say, to have some weight in a specific index, that's another thing that I really like. But also this aerodrome, I mean, I've been looking at these VE33 kind of dexes, etc. And the way that dexes have evolved since 2021, in so much as it used to just be, didn't it? The emissions of the native token, and then they would the dexes would die under the weight of their own rewards. And now it's a lot more balanced, and it's a lot more for those people that are putting skin in the game. And from myself and my project, I wanted to invest so that my dividends for my holders were going to be paid partially in the Aero token, so that we could get those rewards by staking our investment in racks. And I absolutely love it, because like you said, up until you're live on the main net, you've got that ability where we can put into LP, we can pull out those rewards, we can vote for the LP, such as yours, and then we can get rewarded for doing so, and for being long-term supporters of the project as well. Okay, so for those people that are listening, I hope there's a lot of meat on those topics for you. I hope that it's explaining a lot more about exactly what Rax is doing. We're seeing some great buys going in as well, by the way. So that's fantastic. Those people that are buying on the back of AMAs always like that when you're finding more information about the project. So talk to us about liquidity. That's another question that's coming up again and again within the Telegram community. What is the strategy? What's your sort of strategic aim with adding LP into the pool? Do you have targets? Do you have levels? What is the answer to those people asking that question?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really simple. It's literally, the strategy is to make sure that our token holders get as much rewards as possible, and that's it. And I know some people may not fully understand like how Aerodrome works and everything like that, but you do kind of have to time it right. You have to get your bribes in early. There's a lot of things that you kind of have to do, a lot of moving pieces to kind of make sure that you're getting like the most optimal, solution and rewards. You really want the max rewards and max incentives and everything. And so it does take like a little bit of like timing. We definitely will be adding more liquidity. That is something that we're going to do. Probably, like I said, probably another 50K or 50, yeah, probably another 50K, and probably closer to, like I said, we'll see what kind of rewards come in and things like that. I think somebody kind of alluded to that in the community, actually. Like, he said he knew how he did understand how Aerodrome worked. And he was like, well, let's see what the rewards, happen and things like that. And, you do have to crunch some numbers and things like that, just to kind of get a good picture of, okay, should we add liquidity here or should we add liquidity here and things like that. But we will be adding more liquidity. That is something that we will be doing. And again, though, it's just to basically go and get the most rewards for our token holders. That's the plan. Like that, it's really simple and straightforward for us.
Yeah, and I think also I think what people need to understand is obviously the more you have as a project LP, you're essentially potentially taking a chunk of those rewards. So you're trying to balance that. So what you're doing is you're giving enough liquidity at the moment for us to be able to trade. And trading, I mean, I'm watching here, there's thousands of dollars that are being traded. So it's not like it's, oh, that's like one of these meme coins, with a couple of $1,000 in LP. You've got a nice healthy liquidity of about 120K at the moment I mean, 120K against a market cap of 845 we're talking about at the minute. So it's not unhealthy for me at this stage. But also I know that with the epochs, because these timeframes for the rewards on Aerodrome, is it like 7 days or 10 days, I believe? So you
Yeah.
have to wait until the next one, and then we won't know what the reward structure's like until that one opens up. Then we
Yep.
can start voting with these I believe VE Aero tokens for your LP, and that will increase the rewards that are attributed to the LP. Is that sort of on the right lines?
Yeah, dude, right on the button. That's it. I mean, again, it's a lot of moving pieces, like I said, and people have to really understand how Aerodrome works to do it, but it's a great thing when it clicks together, man. It really is. Like, and that's what I think BitBase had kind of found out like how well it really works for their community. And like I said, we're basically going down the same route and trying to do the same thing.
And then we can bring in like real DeFi chads into the community, can't we? Because I think any
Exactly.
community, when you're starting off, there's always going to be question marks about like sort of strategy, etc., etc. But I think when you're looking for traders, we spoke before, we're looking for the people who are going to actually utilize the protocol when it's live and understand it. That, I think the key is understanding. I can't wait to make some educational content on my channel about it,
Yep.
and really sort of enlighten people into how to use it. But I've got to do it myself, right? So I'm learning and I've got to do it myself to be able to educate other people. But it is a really exciting setup that's coming down the track. So, okay, so the way at the moment for us to be able to get our hands on racks is to go to Aerodrome, right, which is on base.
Yep. Yep.
And then we can use their swap facility. You are a listed token there, so we can just search for RWAX.
Mhm.
That will pop up, and then we can make a swap with like ETH on base or something, right?
Yep. That's
Okay,
it.
perfect. So that's really good. Um, okay, next thing is moving across more so to you on a personal level, because I always
Mhm.
like these conversations not just to talk about sort of in-depth, quite technical subjects, but also kind of your own journey in sort of crypto. So what do you, or first of all, let's start off with sort of who
Yeah.
and why, who are the people, who are the projects that kind of inspire you most? If you wake up in the morning, who are the sort of the platforms that you go and check on X, and who do you keep up to date with in terms of like the content they're pushing out?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. I'm trying to think. I follow quite a few people, but I probably say I'm more interested now in kind of seeing who has like who's really crushing it on all sides. Because I think what some people may not understand is trying to balance everything at the same time is very difficult, and you can kind of see it with a lot of projects who are maybe doing it, on this side, but maybe not on that side. And to see, I like to admire, accounts and things that are like done really, really well. I think BetBase, their Twitters run really, really well. And we had actually had a conversation about hey, how are you guys like doing your content like this and like that and stuff like that, so that way we can kind of emulate something like that, because they're really good with getting out their content and what their content is about, and getting people involved. So those are the kind of things that I kind of look for now, and that's kind of like just one example of, like, where what I kind of look at on a personal level. Like when I'm on Twitter or X or whatever, and just kind of doing my thing, like kind of making my rounds. It's either like personal friends in the industry, and then looking for like who's really killing it on some front. Like I said, that's BetBase is really doing a really good job on Twitter.
Yeah, and I think when just to clarify to the listeners, when you say on multiple fronts, I think kind of you're alluding to like the dev side, you know what I mean, and then the marketing side, and
Yeah.
all of the different ways that are building. We found ourselves at EPICBOTS. There's multiple box ticking, isn't there? We've got fabulous designer with Lewis, who's able to poop out some incredible designs. And I think if your branding's not on point, then your marketing is not on point. And if your
Yep.
marketing and your conversational network's not on point, it's really hard for you to break into like kind of new communities and expose that. But then you've also got to have someone like we have Winnie, who's an expert dev front and back end. So you've got to have the tools. So it's
Yeah.
kind of trying to find the balance, isn't it, of the three. So where you're saying about making sure that you've got the boxes ticked, it's about so many things. You're looking at a brand and think, wow, that looks shit hot. But then you need to look under the hood, don't you, and think,
Yeah.
what are these guys building? Is that quite unique? Are they trying to, find a solution to a pain point in the crypto space? And yeah, there's a lot of things. And I think I'm probably the same, where there's not one project or person, but when I stumble on something and I think, something, this is bloody cool, and I'm
Right.
kind of drawn to that. So thanks. Yeah. Give us an idea of your vision. Okay, so let's
Yeah.
pretend that we've got a Doctor Who TARDIS time machine kind of thing. We're going to go ahead 1 year in an ideal situation with the wind behind you and everything that's gone right. Where would you envisage Rax or the Real World Asset Exchange being in 1 year from now?
I'd probably say probably with at least 6 to 9 different indices, good liquidity, people really excited about those indices. That's really what I see for us. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what those indices are, because again, like the way it's set up, it's not like it's dependent on us. It's really, it's voted on and things like that by, the people that actually use the platform. And obviously, the more people we get to use the platform, the more people will be interested in voting, in trading something really, really cool. So it'll be interesting to see what those 6 to 9 indices are in a year from now, and maybe even more than that. Maybe it goes crazy, and people just want to keep adding more and more, and we're at 12, 15 different indices. I think at one point FTX had about probably about 10 different indices on their platform at one point in their early stages. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what people want to trade. But in a year from now, definitely a more solid position in terms of, hey, we're the go-to place for indices and RWA exposure to different sectors and industries.
And will you? And another one was another question that came
Mm.
from our side, our community, was regarding sort of tokens, right?
Mhm.
So just dialing back into the tokens, I know that what my answer was, the vast majority of your tokens are sort of reward at the moment are in a stash for rewarding
Mm.
those people on your own protocol, right? It's not for it's not for distributing now. They
No.
are like literally for when you're live on your main net, and then you can start your operations yourself and start distributing those tokens out. So when people say, oh, there's only sort of 20% circulating, etc., the rest are obviously in locks, that's the reason. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be used for a bunch of different things. Strategic decisions that can be voted on, obviously, by people that own our governance token as well. About who we should work with, what we should be doing in terms of maybe different products. I think once we do have on our roadmap to tokenize the indices for those who maybe aren't that interested in futures trading or perps and things like that, and they just kind of want to buy a token and that's it. So there'll be things like that, and they'll be used for like obviously liquidity providers because that's going to be a huge deal. Most of the rewards and things are going to go to LPs. So when we launch, I can tell you right now, the best way to get your hands on Rax tokens would be to be an LP because those are the people that we're going to reward the most. And that's also in the documents for anyone that's like listening. If you go into the documents, you can see where basically we say exactly that most of the tokens are going to be for LPs. But yeah, that's what we're using it for as a reward to people that actually use the platform that actually care about where we're going in terms of bringing real world asset data on chain.
And I am delighted to say that we're also going to be able to help because we're just designing a whole new system that is going to help with engagement in
Yeah,
communities. I know that you're very focused, the same as myself. I'm very passionate about rewarding those people who play a part in the growth of your Web3 project. We are designing a new system that's going to be able to be utilized within the Telegram environment, of course, and that is going to attribute rewards to those people who are engaging in a whole host of different activities. So I'm delighted that we're going to be able to share that with the Rax community as well when we develop that our side. So yeah, we're both intertwined. I think very much so. On the way that our philosophy is that reward those people who are coming to the table and bringing value to the community or helping you out. And I think that builds trust, doesn't it? Because I think that's another key thing that I want to touch on is I think trust is built over time. A lot of people probably ask questions, and I think when they come into an early community when it's very much development and technical side, and there isn't the kind of huge support structure on the community side. A lot of people are like, "Whoa, what have I done? I've made a mistake," and all this kind of thing, but they don't understand the huge kind of underside of the iceberg that's being developed
right.
until such a time, and then they go, "Oh shit, I saw this 2 years ago. I should have bought some," kind of thing, don't they?
Right. Yeah, but I mean that's also like that is also on us too, to kind of get that across so people kind of understand how important this is and whatnot. Like I said, we'll be obviously, producing more content on that so people can kind of really understand how big it is. You can see the development screenshots and things like that of where we are and all this other stuff. Like I said, I mean, public testnet will be here soon. So, people can actually play around with it, ask more questions, and they'll have more to kind of talk about. When you're early into a community, there's not really much to talk about but what they give you. And you might have a couple other questions. And then it's probably mostly just all about the token and whatnot. And those questions are, typically answered with like you know, something that's like pinpointed somewhere in the documents or something like that. But I think kind of once we get to that point, to where, like I said, you can play with it, you can see it, you can say, well, what's this, what's that? Have you got then people can kind of say, oh wow, this is kind of cool. Hey, have you guys thought about this? Now the conversation changes, the community changes, and people are more worried about you know, what indices and where this is going and all this other stuff. So yeah, it does definitely take time, but we're super excited about it. We're getting it together. And like I said, we're just going to keep pushing until everybody kind of understands, oh, okay, this is what these guys are doing. This is why this is so big. I'm super excited and grateful that, I'm actually like joined into this before everybody else got, really, really into it or something like that.
Yeah, I think when I've looked at like some of the other, big players in the DEX world, you always dream, don't you, of jumping on one of these big boys, when they're still in the sort of hundreds of K market cap sort of area, and then riding that whole thing up into the billions. It's like you see Uniswap or Pancake Swap or these ones from 2020, 2021, their meteoric rise, and you think, oh, I so wish I had a big bag of that, and I just rode that whole thing. But I think this, for me, gives me the tingling excitement that because it is unique, because it is bringing something to the, because a lot of crypto is just recycled shit, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's like, let's just do the same thing as them and just rebrand it. You know,
Right.
to do something new, to be a front runner and an icebreaker, you know, takes a lot of effort, and you've got to have a lot of moving parts. I know that you spoke about Trueflation, but I believe also API3 is one of the partners in terms of oracles.
Yep. API3, they're our partner for the BRICS index. And like I said, we'll probably be partnering with a couple more oracles just to kind of again make sure that we have the best solution. Again, we're very like product focused. So we want to make sure like the product is good. And so making sure like it's something like this, your oracles need to be like on point. So we want to make sure we have the best setup, the best partnership, and whatnot, so that way people feel safe, like trading on our platform, and then the oracle doesn't go down like once a day or something like that. So that's like super 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 important. So we'll probably try out a couple of them during the testnet phase, and then when we go mainnet, we'll probably end up with one, maybe two um, oracle providers to make sure that for all of our needs basically.
Cool. So we are talking, what did you say, sort of mid-June time testnet, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's brilliant. That's amazing. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I was like pecking your head the other day. Give me a video. I need something. I want to see something cool. And like, I sent it to my team, and yeah, I mean, I think those guys as well, like, said that it's an epic looking, excuse the pun, it's an epic looking project. It really is. And we like what we see. So a couple of fun things to kind of wrap up. Maybe I'll just take a couple of questions as well. If there's a couple of community members that want to ask a question, then
Yeah.
I'll do a couple of questions, but a couple of fun things. So, if you can tell us, what would be one thing? So, back you say in 2013, I think you said when you first
Mhm.
stumbled into the crypto world, what would be one thing now if you had that, Doctor Who TARDIS, and you could go back in time? What would you tell that person that was first stumbling into the crypto world? One piece of wisdom that you've gathered in your years in the space.
Oh man. Ooh, that's a good question. I probably would say uh probably buy more Bitcoin. That's probably it. Probably buy more Bitcoin. If I had more Bitcoin, I think that's probably what I would say. I'd probably say buy more Bitcoin. I'd probably say don't really get too like caught up in a lot of like 2017, 2018 was a crazy time in terms of like the ICO boom and stuff like that. And it just kind of got really out of control. And then I think even like the next run up was really out of control in terms of leverage. So there's just certain things to kind of look out for uh that I maybe would mention too in terms of like, cycles and being able to kind of identify a cycle and where you are in the cycle. I think it'd probably be some advice along the lines of that.
Mine would be, don't get involved in the Terra Lunar ecosystem. Mate,
1,000%.
I say that every week on the podcast. I say it almost sank me. I still get those furrowed browed looks from my wife when I start saying anything about crypto, and she goes, "Don't fucking lose this, that amount
Right.
this time." I'm like, no, I've got
No.
diversified portfolio this time. I'm not just covering a few bases, but yeah, that's great advice. And again, yeah, I mean, buying more Bitcoin. I mean, even
Yeah.
now, I'm saying to people, everyone that I meet, there's so many people that just aren't exposed to crypto in any way. And I think we're going to see something insane in the crypto space over the next 18 months. I really do think that it's just a different feeling. You get that sixth sense. I
Mhm.
think that there's something that's coming that's going to be really, really big. And I'm really excited that we're able to to surf the crest of that wave when it happens. I'm delighted to say, by the way, we're still seeing some really good buys coming in for racks. And approaching an all-time high, which is amazing. I love to do AMAs when we instigate some more buys, and we're approaching a new all-time high on the Racks token. So, well done, guys, for getting behind the project and buying some extra tokens. So I think we're at a point where if there are any people, in fact, do me a favor, pick any two people, scroll through any two people that are listening, names that you like or pictures that you find funny that you want me to reward with some Rax tokens, and I'll get those sorted out. So you pick two, and I'll pick two, dude.
All right, cool. Well, let's do Explorer. Explorer's been here from the jump.
Let's have a look. Okay, Explorer. Yeah, I'm Explorer. You've followed us, so yeah, Explorer. I'm just going to take your handle.
And then let's do Revu over here.
Sorry, what was the other one? Repeat again, dude.
Revu.
Revo. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Let's get that.
Okay. So Revo. Perfect. Okay, thank you. And I will pick. Who don't I know here? I'm going to pick someone that I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go for Rocky. Rocky. Yeah, Rocky. And then you've got a little hashtag of RVV. Yeah, you're also a winner. So let's get you, Rocky, RVV. And who else don't I know here? Crypto Dubs. Yeah, Crypto Dubs, you are our fourth winner. So Crypto Dubs. So you guys can message me. I'll sort all that out. And if not, then you'll hear from me tomorrow. So I'll just write that one down. Crypto Dubs. Okie doke. So anything from the community side, anyone that's listening, have you got any questions? Do you want to just stick your hand up and I can just invite you as a speaker if you've got a question that's burning that I haven't managed to cover today, if there's anything that's still any gaps that you're not happy with, or that an OZA from Real World Asset Exchange can enlighten you with, by all means, ask us now. If you are listening on record and you do have a question, a burning question, by all means, please put it into the Real World Asset Exchange thread. We will be happy to, or an OZA and the team there will be happy to try and answer those questions for you when they're available, of course. It won't necessarily be instantaneously. Or I can try and help through Bullring Crypto at Bullring Crypto on X. And if you've got a question, you can DM me and I'll try and do my best to get an answer for you there as well. So if you don't want to put yourself forward, you don't want to publicly speak because a lot of people fear it more than death, then you don't need to. But yeah, it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. I think we're at a great position with the project. I'm looking forward to the test net. I'm looking forward to seeing all the working parts with Aerodrome, the rewards, the voting and the bribes. And I think it's going to be really cool. I think we have a lot of super cool people that are going to come and join the Real World Asset Exchange communities, get involved, give their opinion. And it's a bright future for you, dude. So I want to say thank you very much from EPICBOTS for investing your time coming and explaining a lot about Real World Asset Exchange indices and how it's all going to work. Any final words from you, my friend?
No, just dude, thanks for having me. Again, thanks for everybody that is supporting, that showed up. Anybody that has any questions or anything, definitely feel free to follow us on Twitter, reach out in the Telegram. We'd be happy to kind of explain or, just talk to you about, what we're building and everything like that. But other than that, again, big shout out to EPICBOTS. Great community, great project, great products. Yeah, let's just have a good time, guys. Let's enjoy.
Cheers, my friends. Catch you soon. Thanks, everyone, for listening in. Well done to the winners. I'll be in touch and look forward to next week where we'll be pulling out another of our epic podcasts, epic stroke podcast AMAs. Join us then. Listen to another great project. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. All the best. Speak to you soon.
Cheers.